Так, здорово всем. Стандартная проверочка звука. Twitch работает. Давай, Steam, грузись. Так, вот. Прием. Все, заебись. Все работает. Так, сейчас я еще одну штуку проверю. Давай, работай, сука. Пожалуйста. Я все пытаюсь, короче, тут тему с чатом, может быть, проверить, если она будет работать. Но она почему-то, походу она, короче, не работает почему-то в Ютубе. Фиг его знает. Ну ладно, это вообще не важно, это я так просто для себя прикольная фича, я бы хотел с ней разобраться. Короче, мы играем, ну, как вы видите на экране, мы играем в Stanley Parable. Опять же, одна из топовых игрушек в инди именно сфере. Ну, я в нее не играл, поэтому, естественно, я о ней наслышан, и поэтому вот, надо поиграть, хочу поиграть и вам тоже показать. Все, короче, погнали сразу. Вы уже играли в Stanley Parable? Я не играл, поэтому мы так и говорим нет. Пресечите ползуна, пока компьютер не будет едва виден. Это мы настраиваем, получается. Я люблю, чтобы чуть поярче было, поэтому мы, короче, вот как-нибудь вот так вот сделаем. Введите текущее время. Так, у меня сейчас... Что у меня? У меня 12 дня. Вот что у меня. Вот. У меня 12:30, если быть точнее. Вот так вот, погнали. Внимание, специальные настройки можно выбрать в главном меню. Окей. Вы записали Stanley Parable Deluxe, это да. Сейчас единственное, что я хочу сделать, это вот то, что они сказали про... Я немного убавлю чуть-чуть музыки. Так вот. Громкость. Это мы оставим на громкость, потому что это, естественно, надо его слышать. Так, сделаем вот так. Вертикальная синхронизация, пожалуйста, выключим. Сглаживание. Я не помню, какое у меня... Похуй, давай 4 вот это оставим просто. Просто качество оставим. Сделаем полный экран. Так. Так. А где, вот он сказал, особые какие-то фигни? Привет, мама! Ты не обязательно меня Снейком называть. Я знаю, что это ты. Все тут знают, что это моя мама. Зашла поздороваться. Привет. Ну все, короче, я не лень, поэтому я, в принципе, все настроил, все, погнали. Сразу прыгаем.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Я послушаю, мне интересно.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Какая сенса высокая сейчас. А я не буду. Я знаю то, что тут это рассказчик реагирует на твои действия, и я не хочу. Сейчас он мне что-то скажет. Все. Я жду инструкций. Мне нужны инструкции, и мне пока никто не сказал, чтобы кто-то уходил. Я не шевелюсь. Я водички попью. Что вы думали, я буду делать, как игра хочет? Нет, я буду... Я люблю игры ломать, а эта игра... это идеальный пример того, как игры, которые хочет, чтобы люди играли в нее неправильно. Что, вы думаете, я сдамся? Нет, я пойду, я сейчас отойду, я сейчас водички, я прям в комнате, пойду водички себе налью. Ты покушал? Да, мам, покушал. Так. Ну, походу все-таки надо двигаться, потому что... I hate Mondays, наверное, там написано. О! Я могу ходить на правую кнопку мыши? Любопытное управление. А я могу печатать? Да не особо, я как-то не могу никак взаимодействовать. Блять, все равно очень резко. Все, ну, типа, мне не надо такую резкость, блять, в такой игре. Может, на клавиатуре компьютера... Так я ж попробовал, тут ничего нет. Это, ну, то есть, мне понятно, что мне игра хочет, чтобы я куда-то ушел, но мне просто интересно, если я мог что-то тут напечатать, но нет. А, или может быть... где тут эта стрелка, по-моему, была? Где она? Вот она. Да не, нихера. Не могу, короче. Ну ладно. Забавно, что я вот просто левую кнопку мыши нажимаю, у меня... О! Прыгать нельзя, все жмут прыжки.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Окей. Никого нет. У меня все мои коллеги куда-то пропали. Да, реально прыгать нельзя.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Вот, пошло. Вот и началось. Потому что я теперь все трогаю.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Он такой, что ты тут... Типа, он трогает все, и это никак не продвигает историю. Вот он уже начинает со мной общаться. Да, вот поэтому это и охуенная игра. О! Мы в раю. Походу. А я что, я хожу, я все тыкаю. А мы какой номер, кстати, я забыл? 27-й. То есть мы идем как бы, окей. У него офис, блядь, поинтереснее, смотри, у него окошко есть. Ничего себе. А как в тот коридор попасть? Это странно. Мы видим, как тут коридор, но мы не... Ну ладно, это же типа... Мы, так сказать, в каком-то странном пространстве, поэтому как бы тут законы физики не работают. Я все компьютеры тупо выключаю. О!
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Я этого ждал. О. Наконец-то что-то, с чем я могу интерактировать. Что, комментарии какие-то будут? О да, это игра, и я такой игрок. Если вы хотите какой-то спидран этой игры, это вам не сюда. Я тут буду, блядь, доебываться прям вообще до всего. Ну ладно. Ну игра уже мне какой-то Portal вайб дает. Типа, просто как бы по... I hate Mondays. О! Чашку пролили. L? Хм. B3. Какой-то грязный офис. Ну да. Ну да, это какой-то офис в каком-то... Ну тут реально пол какой-то грязный. Есть такое. Ну тут типа что-то произошло. Типа фиг его знает что. Поэтому я думаю, сильно их не надо судить. Они вообще все тут пропали. А может контроллер? Я, наверное, попробую на контроллер поиграть. Мне кажется, эту игру все-таки... Ну-ка, ща. Мне что-то захотелось на контроллере поиграть. Давай. Так. А игра... Блять, у меня постоянно проблема, вот эта игра просто не видит контроллер. Короче, ща. А так? Может, с понедельником связано? Может быть. О, так, все, контроллер подсоединился. Единственное, это то, что... А что такое? А можно... А чё? Чё не так? Блядь. Чё-то с этим контроллером не так. Он иногда отсоединяется. Окей, я думаю, так будет, да, так будет поинтереснее. Добавь еще чувствительность, пожалуйста. Чувствительность чего? Sales, ну-ка, что там написано? Sales in this quarter. This does not make sense. No. Projections. Резкие повороты не прикольно. Ну вот я типа, они будут более плавными. Я на контроллер пересел, видишь, типа вот. У меня мама, ей плохо становится. Мы с ней играли в какую-то игру, у нее голова закружилась, потому что резко там что-то двигалось. Вот, сейчас же лучше, сейчас должно быть, ну вот, я на контроллер пересел. Оно должно быть плавно. Дел. Ладно.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Почему-то это нет. Если ты сейчас сказал налево, я не пойду налево, я пойду направо.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
4, 4, 5. Прикольно. Что, еще одна какая-то комната? Что там написано? Ну-ка, сейчас я попробую. Сложно, там еще курсив. Не могу прочитать.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Да, весьма неплохая комната.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Да, Игорь. Мы тут отдыхаем, я присяду.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Отдыхай, да, я тут, может, школу какую-нибудь взять.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Вот, понеслось. Точно не будет еще одного диалога? А тут можно как-то зумировать? О, ну я могу присесть. What is it about the place? The weeks are spent here. They feel the mirror stands. Sounds by extension. Feel so shout myself. Well, not что-то. It is the continuous calls to me. I would do my sad... Блять, я так сложно курсив читать. Давай в левую дверь сходим. А я не могу. За мной дверь закрылась. Поэтому я не могу в левую. К сожалению, это как бы мой... Я выбор свой сделал. Я решил пойти не туда, куда он сказал. Ну ладно, ну короче, что-то там про то, что это место какое-то странное. И что-то там... что-то тут, короче, странная тема происходит. В этом письме написано. Очень сложно читать, потому что она маленькая, еще плюс это курсив. Я курсив плохо читаю. А тут что написано? Fifth annual subcommittee meeting of internal revenue analysis for committees of the Royal Revenue Discussions Club. No girls. The committee hereby proposes the following: that all internal revenue be reviewed exclusively by internal members of royalty appointed subcommittees. The human beings accepting the members of the fifth annual subcommittee meeting of the Internal Revenue Analysis Comedies of the Royal Revenue Club smell. Dude, I'm so wasted right now. Там, короче, он что-то там пиздешь, и третий такой: чел, я такой бухой сейчас. Типа, buy the following members approve this statement. Надо ключ найти, может просто выйти из здания. Да я, ну типа, да, мы просто исследуем, как бы нас же ведут просто по комнате и все. То есть, типа, тут не надо особо думать. Recommendation from the Oversight Committee. Мне же просто интересно. Ну, то есть мне просто вот в ту комнату надо идти, в коридор. Но я просто исследую, мне интересно. Что тут написано? Ладно, погнали.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Это портал, блядь? Что это нахуй?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ебать тут... Прикольно. Do not lie. If you're lying right now, stop. Он такой: не ври. Если ты сейчас врешь, не ври, перестань. Любят они двери за мной закрывать. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion, will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift. Ooh.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Whoa! Самое начало.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-worker. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Можем попробовать, типа, вот сейчас, типа, пойти туда, в левую.
When Станley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Не, я, пожалуй, пойду направо.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Live but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Не-не-не-не. Мы пойдем сюда.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Мы будем проходить эту игру и пробовать все возможные вариации. Я уже чувствую, нахуй это. Я должен узнать.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick... Oh, no, you can't... Did you just unplug the phone?
Uh-huh.
No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly?
Uh-huh.
I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Куда ты меня ведешь? Назад, на лифт? О! О, он добавил это, решетку, чтобы я типа не спрыгивал. Как умно.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Не могу. Они убрали мою возможность прыгать. Окей, идем назад.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Сейчас небольшой перерыв в комнатке отдыха. Я на этом кресле сидел. Какая красивая картинка. Ладно, он ничего не говорит. Пойдем. А напиток можно взять? Не, я пробовал.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Ой, нифига себе тут, блядь. О, это шифр какой-то. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. Б, 4, 5, 6. Б, 4, 5, 6. Б. 7, 8, 9, 0. 7, 8, 9, 0. 7, 8, 9, 0. Окей, я думал, что что-то случится. Ладно, пойдем в правильную дверь. Давай в левую. Да, я пошел в левую, да.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Ты выключишь мою игру? О, нет! Нет!
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. Oh. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Oh.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly
меня
and
пытается
always putting the
заставить,
story
а я не
first.
хочу.
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Пойдем вправо. Опа. Ладно, пойдем.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine.
Он
All
заставляет меня. Ладно,
When
последний раз.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ну ладно, пойдем влево. О! Так вот как она выглядела. Tips for not getting fired.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
How to solve a dispute with a coworker. Using slides to assure employees the reference they can. Make sure the slides has a sick blue graphic in the header, blah blah, this one should come. Заебись. Everyone is unique, you most of all. Okay, спасибо. Synergize. Core values is value expedited, shift global market. Number of slides on this slide. Slides, chart. Он говорит, количество слайдов в этом слайде. Чарты, слайды. А почему не сделают сюжет нормальный в правой двери, в левой тоже? Мам, ну, весь прикол этой игры, это то, что она вот такая, типа... То есть он ломает 4-ю стену, он с тобой общается. Ты можешь делать разные выборы, и он как бы на это реагирует. То есть в этом смысл игры. Поэтому, блядь, ну, поэтому это так сделано. Мама не понимает прикола. Ну ладно. Мама как бы к такому не привыкла. Ладно, пойдем посмотрим, где наш босс. Меня не пускают. Меня не пускают туда. Broom closet. Меня не пускают в broom closet.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
А что это там за комнаты? Почему они там есть? Я не могу прыгать. Я уже начинаю понимать. Ну тут как бы просто вот, да, такое дело. Типа эта игра, она должна быть типа такой непонятной и перепутанной, типа в этом весь смысл. То есть это типа игра ломает 4-ю стену, она понимает то, что это игра и то, что ты играешь в нее. Типа поэтому это такой странный сюжет. Типа вот со мной вот этот чел, который как бы по сути просто наррейтер, да, он со мной общается напрямую. То есть просто ломание 4-й стены. Перерыв не хочешь делать? Нет. Какой перерыв? Мама, перерыв хочет. А тут что? Это Бейжес. Теперь я его ассистент. Полезно для здоровья сделать перерыв. Ну нет, я как-то обойдусь, я думаю, я смогу.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Poopy butt.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Poopy butt. Poopy butt.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Не хочу. Я не умею говорить. Я не понимаю. I
Okay,
don't speak
fine.
English.
You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
Я так и
When
сделал.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
О, это Стэнли?
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important.
Стэнли is important. Он
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something.
Do something. Come
This is
on.
more important than you can ever know. I need this.
I need
The
this.
story needs it.
The story needs this.
So, you hear me? Are you there? You listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait.
Ну, ничего, я
You need
подожду.
time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
Извините, Лора.
It's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Окей. Я думаю. Я так понимаю, это, наверное, одна из концовок. Пойдем...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ладно, пойдем еще раз повторим, и если ничего не изменится, мы посмотрим, что... Ну, пойдем как бы правильно, так сказать. О! О! Там что-то поменялось. Что-то поменялось. Так.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace, its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker.
Да? Something deeper, something darker? Okay.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Okay, ладно, понял.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Мы повторим тот же, короче, поход.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
О, я пойдем,
Look,
короче,
Stanley,
посмотрим.
I think perhaps we've gotten
Что
off
будет?
on
Я
the wrong foot here.
возьму
I'm not
трубку.
your enemy, really, I'm not.
Посмотрим, что будет.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Okay.
She's been waiting.
Давай, надо поговорить со своей женой.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Okay.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Whoa.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Yeah.
They want to commit their life to you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Нет.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
А! Шо? Ты шо делаешь, блядь? Я тебя ща поломаю.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Вау. Доброе утро, Соник. Через нажми «Да» на своем контроллере.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Вот за на псих похож. Да, он издевается надо мной. Вот, сука. Может, давай на этой... Мама не любит, когда над ней издеваются. Не, мы сейчас с ним поборемся. Мы еще посмотрим, кто будет над кем издеваться.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Нет. О, подожди. Другую кнопку. Я жму другую кнопку. Опа, опа, опа. Реально такой национальный неустойчивый певец. Мама его там анализ дает ему. Ладно, давай.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. and so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Whoa.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Он создал эту игру.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Жмите Б, чтобы сказать Жене, что любите ее.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Нет! Нажмите Y, чтобы пойти спать.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Нажмите A, чтобы не задать вопросов. Я не нажимаю. Ну ладно.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Интересная концовочка. Вау! Ладно, теперь давайте пройдем, так, как он хочет. Я буду делать то, что он мне говорит.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Подожди-ка, что-то тут меняется. Какие-то изменения есть. Пойдем в левую дверь сходим. А, не, я долбаю. Это просто... Это не та комната была. И... Что-то будет! Смотрите! Второй раз! То есть я нажал, и теперь что-то заполняется. То есть, окей. То есть мы, короче, когда второй раз через лупу пойдем, надо еще будет раз нажать.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Пойдем, я делаю, короче, что он говорит.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Пойдем сходим. О, это дверь.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Он продолжает давать мне какие-то новые.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Классная подсобка.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Я бы обои сюда поклеил. Вообще, довольно большой. Типа, смотрите, это...
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Ну так вот, я тут обои бы поставил, тут вообще-то кроватку можно вместить.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Oh.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical melody of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose.
Whoa.
Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Эй. Ладно, походу.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Ты уверен? Потому что я думаю, я знаю, что я могу сделать.
You too? Unbelievable. At the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Окей, я тогда пока себе, пока он ждет, я себе покушать закажу. Сейчас, ребята. Заказал. Что, все еще пока? Что заказываешь? Рис курицы карри с соусом? Я заказал снова китайскую еду. Она мне нравится. Она дешевая, и она вкусная, и, ну, там просто, и, типа, реально просто рис, курочка. То есть я беру, короче, я заказываю себе рис, курицу, вот этот цау чикен. И еще я беру spare rib, то есть там, типа, короче, ребрышко, типа, мясо с ребрышком, типа, тоже с рисом. И там даже брокколи есть немножко. Там мало брокколи, конечно, но такая, мне нравится, короче. Дешево и сердито. Ладно, пошли.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Теперь я могу вниз пойти. Окей, пошли вниз. О, машина.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, It's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Вау. Вот это концовочка. О, что-то поменялось.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wow. Welcome to the whiteboard ending. Yes.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Теперь мне интересно... это... Теперь каждый раз, когда я нажимаю, у меня собаки лают. Короче, мне интересно теперь, что бы было, если бы я с самого начала просто пошел по сюжету, типа, и оно бы изменилось. Тут в этом и прикол этой игры.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there, just a kind of, tingle. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Не, мы пойдем так же.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Я ресетнул игру таким образом, я думаю.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Тут нету. Нету того, что я искал.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Пойдем.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Oh no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Окей, я тогда чекну. Я чекну, что у меня там с едой. Окей, едет.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ладно, мне интересно.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why...
Так, ладно, я не хочу... Мы, кажется, начнем заново вот так.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ща. О! Окей. Что-то тут не так.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Окей.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Он заколотил это, блядь. Окей, пойдем наверх сходим.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Давай сходим вниз. Я не буду заходить туда. Ладно, я туда не пойду, короче. Мы реально наверх сходим. Wow. I've got the feeling money's for for schooling, but not yours, of course. Sir, that's a lovely purse. Wow. Extreme bathrooms. I got the feeling. Окей. Пойдем посмотрим, что у него там внутри. О! А тут что? О! Еще один input.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Секретная комната. Вау. И реально секретная.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Okay. Ого.
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours, so here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section.
Wow.
You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Wow.
Good job, you did it. Good job. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. But railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
Good job, you did it. Вау, вот это да.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Да, я спел.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
А пойдем вправо.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply, madly love. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ладно, пойдем сходим, я здесь ни разу не был.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Окей. Так и сделаем.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might find an aunt coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
О, господи, сколько тут всего. Ладно, пойдем еще раз.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ну давай, пойдем.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Пойдем. Пойдем узнаем. Просто цифры какие-то.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Я забыл, какой у нас номер был? 247, я не помню, если честно. Ну ладно, я не помню, какой у нас номер, я забыл.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Whoa. Four to seven. А, мама подсказывает. 427, да? А, давай посмотрим, раз мама подсказала. По-моему, реально 427. Фига себе. А ты посмотрел или ты помнишь? 4... А вон мы, да, вон. По-моему... Не, выглядит правильно. Вон она, вон там. Я прям на него смотрю. 427, вон там. Ну, похоже. Ну, там ничего... Да пофиг. Ты могла бы промотать. Ну, это не так важно. Это я так... Ладно, пойдем.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Так. О, Господи.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Wow. Waiting for mind control starts offline. столько кнопок. Console disabled. Окей. Какие разноцветные кнопки. Большая красная кнопка. Mind control idle, waiting input. Wow. Mind control. Whoa.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won.
Мы победили?
He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Не хочу. Ладно, уговорили.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
О, мне дали ачивку пройти игру. То есть я типа, это типа... Это настоящая концовка. Одна из. Что-то еще я сделал. Welcome, Stanley, to heaven. О, я в раю. О, я могу нажимать на кнопки. О, я нажимаю на кнопки. Тут много кнопок. Потом загораются назад. Зачем в рай динозавр? Меня сюда отправили. Весело. Тебе спасибо, мама. Это мне как раз таки на еду, видимо. Ну, походу, я даже реально не могу выйти отсюда. То есть мне... Я думаю, мне надо вот так сделать. И меня сейчас опять в рай занесет. Возможно, мне реально все-таки надо как-то отсюда выбраться. Так, ладно, я сейчас пойду, сейчас быстро еду соберу и вернусь. Сейчас, вы пока смотрите на кнопки. Так, я вернулся. Я сейчас, наверное, сделаю перерыв на покушать. Я что-то проголодался. Но кнопки, они исчезают, да? Я не знаю, короче, потому что, по идее, я могу попытаться отсюда выбраться, если бы я, типа, нажал на все кнопки. Но, насколько я понимаю, они как бы... Ну да, вот они возвращаются. Так что мы, короче, начнем заново. Меня ушатало до того рая. Да, ну все, я, короче, здесь пока постою. Я сейчас, короче, сейчас быстро отойду. Я, если что, еще все здесь, я просто кушаю. Все. Сейчас вернусь. Я вернулся. Так.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ладно, я предлагаю сейчас пойти, короче, в правую комнату и потом срезать, и потом, короче, пойти вниз. Вот мы там еще не были.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Я не туда зашел. Ладно, тут, ну, у нас есть еще что поделать.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Я вспомнил, что мы можем сделать. Тут лифт, короче, был. Пойдем в лифт. Бедная панда. Вот здесь мы еще не были. Это типа что, бесконечный лифт? Серьезно? А если вниз поехать? Короче, походу мы просто на месте стоим.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
2845. 2845.
2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Wow.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Oh, yeah.
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Sure.
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Wow.
I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Wow.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Попробовать там решить.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Опа. Это был я? Только что. Это выглядело как я. Любопытно. Так, ну мне туда пока рановато. Но забавно, то есть они просто типа комнату.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Давай, короче, для разнообразия сходим.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic, like a combination of a much smaller version and a much larger version of this exact room. It all made Stanley uncomfortable, and he started to bleed a little. This made him smile. At last, proof that he was human.
Вау.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Потерялись?
Now, let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ого.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Окей, а если я снова туда пойду?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Whoa.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Окей, давай пойдем посмотрим.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
Ну давай, иди меня.
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Окей, как скажешь.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Любопытно.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Ну, тебе виднее.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Whoa, okay. Вау. Какой он зеленый и папорочный. Вау. Окей, я запомнил.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Oh.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okay, пойдем.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Well then.
So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do... Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так. Я что-то уже не помню, что мы там еще не сделали. Сходим налево, посмотрим, что там внизу.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that.
Не, я думаю, это то же самое, короче. Ладно, сходим в рай. Ладно. Короче, мы пока на сегодня закончим. Я буду смотреть. Я думаю, мы в основном все сделали. То есть там и остался вот этот, естественно, новый контент, который можно чекнуть. Ну или я не знаю, ну или я, может быть, еще потыркаюсь. Но сейчас пока, короче, я что-то устал, если честно. Мне надо немного отдохнуть. Так что вот, я закончу на этом пока. Но игра охуенная, игра классная, мне типа очень нравится. Ну все, короче, спасибо всем, кто зашел на стрим. В основном тут у меня была со мной моя мама. Ну, это всегда рад. Значит, спасибо всем, кто посмотрит записи, если такие найдутся. Ставьте лайки, пишите комментарии, я читаю абсолютно все. Также не забывайте нажимать на колокольчик, чтобы новые видео, новые стрима. Все, я, пожалуй, на этом закончу. Всем пока.